You're tuning in to the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Animal, the animal. It's truck, cause the cage is full. The cage is full, the day is new. And guns and waiting on you. You've got time. That's how you, yes, respect. That's how you hold out a note, guys.
You can obviously see the oldies in the news.
Right.
That's the reason why I'm here.
It's for that note, for that one note. Yes. Welcome. It's a new season of Orange is the New Black on Netflix. Season 3. Yes. We're going to recap episode 1. We're so glad that you joined us. I am Megan Thomas at Meg Scoop on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Who are you?
Scoop ice cream.
Like, yeah, but I got later.
I'm adding that now.
Okay. Yes. And who are you?
I'm Scott Moore, and you can find me on Twitter at sman80.
Yes, and we have 2 new hosts this season. Who are you, lovely ladies?
What's up? I'm Stacy Ike. You can find me at One Take Stace on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, blah, blah, blah. And
I'm Sterling Cates, and I keep it easy. You can find me at Sterling Cates.
Simple and easy.
But is that a C or a K?
C-A-T-E-S.
There you go.
There we go.
And if you guys love our podcast, or if you want to give us any comments, any pointers, go ahead and go to podcast1.com. It's a survey. It's 3 minutes. It's really easy, and it helps us out. It helps us become better for you. Yeah. So make sure you keep tweeting us and commenting us, because we read all of that stuff, even the ugly, negative stuff.
Yeah, we do. We like to send it.
So let's talk about this. This episode is called Mother's Day. It's Mother's Day. Okay, It's great. So I kind of always wondered about Mother's Day in a prison. I guess this is kind of how it goes.
Yeah.
I think it was I don't necessarily think it was unrealistic, but I don't think it goes like that for everybody. I'm sure
I don't think so, no.
The top no, I don't think.
No, if you're in maximum.
Yeah, you're not.
Oh, right.
Security.
Absolutely.
But this was a beauty. I loved how they got to all hang out. So that was cool.
It was definitely interesting to see the different relationships with mothers, whether your mother's in prison with you or outside, or what the background story is there, whether your mother was, rich or poor or whatever it is.
And what your relationship was with your mother and is with your mother, and what relationship you have with your own children in this. So it was interesting to see the whole round different dynamics of everybody.
Absolutely.
And not even just with the prisoners, but as we saw with Healy, with his mother.
Yeah.
So we're getting to get more in depth with each character.
And I love it. So let's jump right in. Let's talk about the episode opens up with Pennsatucky. She's a new driver. Sorry, Morello. She's out of there.
Yep.
Morello's out of there. She gave the keys to Rosa, if you remember last season.
Baldy who had balls.
Yeah.
Yes. And so now Pennsatucky is the driver. Why is she the driver?
I think she's not like an outcast, but they're probably like, listen, come on, girl. Like, you need some help. We need to give you something to do.
Well, that's what I was thinking too.
Yeah,
get her out and away
with some
from
exactly.
Yeah, she had a lot of issues there.
Yes.
Okay, so
Why do they even need a driver necessarily?
They can drive themselves.
Yeah,
it's a job though. Like,
it's like that's how they get paid.
Right. So she gets.
I feel like they should pay a guard to do that, but I guess you have to pay a guard a lot versus like 11 cents an hour.
You're right. It's a big difference in paying a guard to just let in a low security prison. So.
And of course, I was laughing at the joke that they had with when they're riding in the van when she's with Officer Belen Maxwell, and she says, when they make a joke about her being a crackhead, she's like, cracks for color.
Right. Yeah. She was like, I'm sorry, African Americans. I said, this girl hasn't learned anything.
When's the last time you said colors? Like, who said colors? Your grandma.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
Your grandma. You're from Pennsylvania, Kentucky, West Virginia, somewhere. Your granny said it. I got it.
1950s.
My favorite part about the whole Pennsatucky scene is when they're actually in the store and she goes, Fiesta, like there's no manana.
Banana.
Like I watched that back several times. I was like, That's hilarious.
Yeah.
She didn't say pinata. She said panita or panada. I was like, this person is perfect.
Quesadilla, jalapeno, like all of them. Mess them all up. Banana.
But it was also interesting to see her backstory too, with her mom making her chug the Mountain Dew outside.
Yeah. Absolutely, which I laugh because I'm from Kentucky and Mountain Dew is very much a country drink where everyone is drinking Mountain Dew, and I don't understand why this fluorescent green drink is something that people drink.
I grew up in the South and had Mountain Dew too. And
I grew up in Texas. I don't remember. I thought Coke
Texas
was
is like west, southwest. It's a little different.
Y'all trying to hate?
No, I'm just just geographical.
We just have sweet tea and Dr. Pepper.
Right.
Yeah, and then we see, of course, that her mom. They always thought that Pennsatucky was a little off, and I was cracking up at the stuff she was doing to her mom in the Social Security office. She's got the cups on her ears. She licked her mom's ears. I'm like, see, sometimes you just need to beat your kids.
Yep.
I would have got a whooping if I tried any of that.
That's why she did
on
that.
purpose.
Because she knew.
Her mom was like, listen, you give her a couple of things around.
Right.
She's going to be hyper.
Extra $500
And it'll help
or
me
whatever.
get the money I need.
That made me sad. These moms have all been conniving from the beginning. It's
but
crazy.
it's sad because it's like her way of surviving was to do that. And watching that. The other thing I thought was interesting this season, I don't know what you all thought, but just these really super quick flashbacks.
Yes.
It's a little different, just a little vignette of something, and then they're back.
Well, and when they went into Pensatucky's flashback, she's in the van and she says, when she's talking about like how those 3 words sound the same but they're all spelled differently, she's like, my mom taught me that. She taught me so many cool things. And then they flash back to her chugging the Mountain Dew. So it's kind of, she has a good memory of her mother, it seems.
Right.
She doesn't feel like we feel about her mom, which is
like screwed her up.
But I think that's how most people are. If you think about it, no matter how horrible your mother was, your mother is still your mother.
It's still your mother. And that's all you knew.
Right.
This is all she knew was this.
Yeah.
So she didn't have any
all I could think
experience.
of is from Talladega Nights. I don't know if you guys know the movie. It's like, I'm all jacked up on Mountain Dew.
Yeah.
I'm going to jump on you like a spider monkey. That's all I can think of.
But it's so true. It's one of the highest caffeinated sodas.
The worst. Okay. And then we see that we get a little more information about Pennsatucky. We find out she's had 6 abortions, and she's named all her children B names.
Yeah.
Brendan, Braden, Buddy Jr., Bethany.
Because I was like, when did she get pregnant? We just did not know. Like,
this is back in her life.
I would have loved if that was a part of. We saw 1 season of her being pregnant. I would have loved to see what that looks like.
I think I'd like to leave that to the imagination.
I do too.
Okay. I don't think the crack. I don't think we want to see someone doing meth or coke or
and
something.
having being pregnant and then they're getting them.
Yeah.
I think it was a little too intense, but I did like it because it kind of harkens back to season 1 when she was the crusader,
right.
Anti-abortion and all this stuff, and then you learn like. Oh, okay.
And she was even putting the Mountain Dew on the little baby's cross.
Which is back to her mother. That's all she knows.
Oh my gosh.
And that's how she was comforted.
Yes. And speaking of comforted, she was comforted by Boo, who had these great things to say.
The angel of death.
Right. Yeah. Boo is like really smart. We never really get to see. I want to see more of her backstory because I feel like there's something totally different about her than how she was before she got to prison.
Exactly.
I'm not gonna lie. I had to rewatch that scene where she's comforting her because I didn't believe it at first. I was like, no, there's a sarcastic smirk coming, but there never was. It was like a real smile.
And that's what I love about her.
This is weird. Yeah,
is that you have that side of her that you don't get to see that often. Like we were talking about, is that super smart side, and it's fascinating.
Yeah.
It was really nice to see, especially in this scene, that because we see a lot of the women fighting or like looking out for themselves mainly because that's what they have to do. But it's really nice to see in this scene just 100% genuine helping someone as opposed to she wasn't looking for something in return, and she didn't kind of kick her when she was down, but she actually gave her some helpful.
Right. And she was and it's funny how she mentions the book Freakonomics,
I know.
and how she was like, basically you were part of the reason why there wasn't a lot of crime because you aborted your baby. So you got
a blessing you didn't give us.
Yeah, you give back your apple life.
Lord have mercy.
I guess you can spin anything positively.
It's an interesting spin, and the way she spun it in a way that wasn't highly emotional either. either. It was more like a factual, like, okay, well, crime went down and blah, blah, blah. Like, it was really interesting spin to do it all.
And I liked when she said, a good mother always does what's best for her children.
Right.
And so, and especially in this Mother's Day episode, we're seeing a lot of mothers not really doing what's best for their children.
Or what they think is the best.
Some
what they think is the best.
Or some doing a great job of it. So, yeah, I like that.
So even though Boo was very helpful with Pennsatucky, she wasn't as helpful when it came to, I guess, decreasing the drug trafficking in this country, because we see that she's telling Nicky that, you know, the heroin that we saw from the last season that was taken from V and was stuffed into, I guess, like a vent or something. So this heroin has clearly been haunting Nicky because she's a former addict, and we're trying to make some money off of it, right? Why not? It's drugs. So they're going to use, if you guys remember, the pipeline, the tunnel that who escaped? Rosa escaped out of. Who escaped out of it?
No, V.
Yes, V. That's her escape route. Exactly. So we're saying that they're going to get ready to use this. I don't know. Do you guys? When I saw this, I thought I feel like Nicky's going to have a relapse. Did anyone think that? I felt that way.
I was actually. I felt like every time she came, it was like, listen, I can't have you in my life, so we're going to toss you. And I feel like she was confident in that, especially in the end when she went to another, to an officer to tell him, by the way, I have this candy, I'm trying to get rid of it. I was like, she must be serious. So I was cool with that. I kind of liked it.
Okay. And so we see that they are going to sell the drugs. And I'm thinking, wait a minute, because I remember it being, wasn't it one little pack or something?
Well, I didn't know.
No, it was that whole stacks in that vent. There's a lot in there.
Because maybe I don't understand the street value of drugs because I've never done them. I was just like, you guys are really going all in on trying to sell this heroin. How much are you going to get for it?
That's what I was trying to figure out. Is the money coming back for them to use in the commentary or whatever, or are they just going to have money stored up for when they leave prison? When is this money getting back to you anyway? That's what I was thinking.
Right. Let us know what you think.
Yes.
Make sure you go below. You see that subscribe button, hit that. Make sure you leave your comments, post your comments, tweet us, use the hashtag ABTVOI.
OITNB.
It's so many letters. It's on the screen. Use it. Yeah. Okay. Make sure you hashtag it so we can read your comments, because we love to hear what you guys have to say. All right. So let's move on then. We also see that Nicky has a flash with her mom, her flashback. Yes. So Nicky's like the other spectrum of everyone. She's super rich. She grew up super rich.
That little girl who's playing her was
cool. Oh my gosh. The curls.
She's so cute.
Adorable.
Wow. What a shame. But that's such a beautiful little girl.
She didn't even read my card.
I know. How sad is it? And it's so crazy because you see the difference. You see some women, their mothers grew up extreme poverty. And then, here they go. You typically think, that's the type of person that ends up in jail. Then you see Nicky, who did not grow up like any of these women, but she ended up in the same place. Right. So to me, it's kind of like, well, what is the formula? Maybe a correct mother's love.
Well, I thought that it was surprising that Nicky came from that background. But I mean, at the end of the day, she was neglected no matter how much money she had.
Right, exactly. I think that's what it is.
Similar to Piper's background. Right. They had a similar distant mother.
True.
And, they had the wealth and everything afforded to them, basically, but still didn't get everything that they really needed to be healthy individuals.
Great point.
And I guess even if you did get the stuff that you needed, you never know what route you're going to take, which is exactly what happens with Poussey, because her mom was a loving mother. She's reading Calvin and Hobbes in her flashback with her mom, which, by the way, is one of my favorite comics. I was so happy when I saw that.
Yeah.
So she's reading with her mom, and, she had a very loving mother, but her mother passed away. So it took me a minute to understand what she was trying to do. So you guys saw the scene where she's talking to Gloria and Norma. She's trying to get some of this voodoo magic that's going on. I didn't get it for a while that she was trying to see her mom. She was trying to get rid of that feeling and that stuff. Did you guys pick that up immediately? Or I
originally thought she was trying to cleanse from the bed bug lifestyle. That's what I thought was happening. So sorry. Let's move on. So I didn't realize that's what she was doing. I thought she was trying to get rid of something else. But then later on, when she said, I'm missing someone, or whatever, to somebody, that's when I got it.
Well, there's obviously something really heavy on her mind. And when they were, I don't know when it was, but she was saying that, she just doesn't know what it is exactly, but why not give it a shot?
Right.
Right.
But doesn't know if the egg will break or whatever it is.
Yeah, I didn't know exactly what that was all about at the very beginning either. But she's another one like Nicky and Piper that had a stable
right.
supposed background. We just don't know how young it was with her mom when her mom passed.
Right,
you know, there's still that we're trying to figure out. But she, in all intents and purposes, had a good, stable, healthy, loving mother and beginning and upbringing, and you know, educated and super smart, and had everything.
And then I loved it how at the very end how you see that she's cleaning up the pinata, and it's like a sign, because we see that the same comic strip is on the inside of the pinata.
Gosh, that gave me chills.
That was amazing.
I know,
but then
love
I remember who her dad was. Remember, we got to meet her dad last season. He was not the same as her mom at all.
Well, I think she comes from a military family.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
it's pretty stable financially. And then, her dad was a higher ranking official.
Yes.
I just mean in terms of like tenderness and
well, yeah, and accepting her.
Exactly, that was just very different.
Right,
yeah.
right. That's a whole other thing of acceptance and everything else. But yeah,
right. And then speaking of our other ladies in this crew, we've got Black Cindy and Tasty and Suzanne. We see them all again.
Oh my God,
they're hilarious. So we see that V last season died, or so we think. She's dead. So we think. We don't know.
We have to assume.
I don't know. We have to assume that she's dead. Suzanne doesn't want to believe it.
Right.
Obviously, Suzanne thinks she's out there somewhere.
That's the sign of a good totalitarian dictator.
Right.
You have your followers that even in death they still are like have your back and are going to do whatever it takes.
Oh my gosh, that is so true. Yes.
So good, like psychologically.
Yeah, and of course, Tasty and Black Cindy are like, whatever, like she's dead, get over it, move on.
Cool, right.
And then you also see that they're not too happy with Mother's Day. And if you remember last season, Tasty is a mom. She's barely a mom, but she's a mom.
Yeah.
And I thought it was kind of weird that she wasn't really happy about the day. I felt like she should have at least, wanted to see her kid, wanted to see her sister for that day.
Well, she wasn't as bad as, say the other name again.
Tasty?
No, Tasty and
Black Cindy.
She wasn't as bad as Black Cindy.
Oh, I'm sorry. I meant Black Cindy. I said Tasty. My apologies.
Okay, so Black Cindy was terrible. Okay, that's what she meant, because I was kind of confused. So yeah, she just really hated like the whole environment. I was very shocked, and she was very clear when she was cussing in front of these kids.
Right, and it makes me sad because we see that she has no regard for children because of how she treated her sister daughter.
Yes.
But I feel like you should at least love Mother's Day because you have a mom that cares enough for you to take care of your kid.
Yeah.
I just thought that was a bit much. I get why Tasty didn't like Mother's Day. She never really had a mom except for V.
Right. And we all see how that worked out.
Exactly.
Okay. So then, and I was also sad for Crazy Eyes, Suzanne Crazy Eyes Warren, because remember we saw her parents in prior seasons?
Yes.
I really wanted to see them again.
I know.
And when she made the kite, I had legit tears. I had a couple that
He was
fell.
like, "You're not allowed to go." I'm like, I forgot that she always has this extra penalty on top of everybody else.
Yeah.
It's always like that with
But she
her.
was like, "Come on, that was last year."
He's like, "I'm good," and it's not the same thing. I was like,
I almost wonder if she should be in this kind of prison. I feel like, isn't there like a different type of psychiatric prison? Because if they don't, I feel like she's almost borderline head to the psychiatric prison.
And she's the kind of prisoner where you think like, okay, well, mental health is something that needs to be invested more in for certain prisoners, and this is the type of person that could use that type of help.
Right.
And Litchfield doesn't really have those finances.
Than what a prison
or those
can provide. It's not the right environment for her.
Yes. And then also we see an interesting side of Sophia. Sophia is back. She's doing hair as always. And we get to see the flashback of when she was still a man. Which shout out to her brother. I believe that's
just like her.
Right.
Like, they are freaky.
Yes.
That's her twin brother.
That's her twin brother.
I forgot they were twins.
I thought that they did some sort of like,
No, I
crazy,
knew it was her
like some
brother.
crazy makeup.
some crazy stuff.
I knew it was her brother. I forgot they were twins.
Yeah. Which is great that he's able, just add so much more depth to the character.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
it's like, hey, can you
awesome.
play? Are you an actor? It's cool. Come on. Like, I feel like that's where.
No, he did a good job. Shout out to Laverne Cox's brother.
Yeah.
So yeah, we see the flash of Sophia when she was still a man and her wife was pregnant, and we see that she was a very tender husband. She's she's like a good husband, right?
Well, they seem to have a very good relationship and mutual respect and the whole thing. So.
Which is why things turn to shit later on. Anyway.
No, but even though Sophia has become a woman now, I think you can still see the friendship that they have, because I feel like if her and her ex-wife weren't friends, then she wouldn't have even have brought her son there for Mother's Day.
I was kind of mad that she didn't come though, so I was kind of like,
no, I don't think you couldn't bring. You can't bring the parents. Only the children.
Yeah, okay, exactly. I definitely wrote that down. I was like, why didn't she come? Okay,
but the fact that she did on Mother's Day to me was a huge step, and also the fact that her son was there too, which, as we saw in previous seasons, there was a lot of estrangement there, and the son felt very uncomfortable, and the fact that he was there and he was asking questions, and I thought that was a really big turning point for Sophia. So I was really happy to see that for her, because she's obviously struggled with that for a long time, as a lot of transgender people do with their children and everything, as we know, and we see it out in the media now. So it's very poignant and very timing.
One of the things I love about Sophia is that she, even though she's, is a mother, but also the biological father, she's letting this other guy, the pastor, step in and kind of be a father. Right. Because she's like, I know I'm not a man anymore, so I can't pretend to be both roles here. Right. But then she's like, but let me tell you the real advice that I have.
So we're talking about this advice.
So the advice that she said, so find an insecure girl and practice. I loved when the son said, so you want to be a woman when men act this way towards women.
God help me.
I know. But that takes a mature boy to say that. Right, you want to be a woman in a world where men act that way towards women.
But I mean, he's had to grow up quick. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
To understand how life works, and your dad is now your mom. Like, he's had to grow up. So I understand why he would even ask that. Like, I like the little boy's relationship with Sophia now, because it's so real. He's like, am I supposed to answer? Are you supposed to tell me this as a man? Or like,
it used to be, when he
used to be dad.
My kind of mom or something. I was like, this is hilarious.
But no, it's really, he's like, I don't know. It's real. I don't know. You tell me. So I really like that about their relationship. And when she said that, yes, God help me, I want to be in a world. I was like, Sophia.
Yeah, I didn't care for that. I mean, I thought it was funny, but I was like,
well, I mean, she still does, though.
No, but that's what I'm saying.
You know what I mean? She went through the whole transition knowing that's how men are.
Exactly. It's like that she wanted it that badly
I see what you mean.
Regardless, she's like, yes, I do. Regardless of like what else is out there, I wanted this that badly.
Not holding her back at all.
Exactly.
And I love when she's doing hair and what's her name?
Morello.
Yeah, Morello is saying, she calls her a lady man, not out of not being rude, but just because she thought it sounded nice.
She's like, I thought it was nice.
I thought that was very telling.
I know. I love that she. And that's one of the greatest things about the show, is that it is informing us about so many things on so many levels. Right. But like what the correct words are to say, or especially in the transgender community, because a lot of viewers don't know.
Absolutely.
Right. So when Morello was like, I don't know, so that's why I'm asking. Yeah. It was literally just ignorance, not that she was being mean or rude or.
And it kind of answered what you said. Different audience members watching that might have said the same thing or be thinking the same question. She asked it for those people watching. And
as you could tell, it was a very intentional and purposeful scene, and they gave it to the perfect character to ask the question. You know what I mean? Like, not a Piper where you're like, I'm just annoyed by everything. At least for me right now, I'm annoyed. So giving it to her to ask that question, I was like, you can tell they're trying to teach us something.
Yeah, a teachable moment.
Yeah, that's cool.
But you can't forget the shaving part too. That was a hilarious scene with her son too. That was such a great line.
Ask him, or I can shave everything.
It was like, ask him that just shaves his face, or me that shaves everything. And then the son's like,
that's too much. Okay, we're getting
TMI. Right. It was a great scene too.
Love that.
It's like the father-son moment of learning how to shave kind of thing.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Red and Alex. They have returned. We see all the stuff that's going on here. Alex is back in Litchfield due to her love of her life. I say that loosely. Piper has called. You remember last season she called Polly and said, since you're messing with my husband or my ex-fiance, you should at least do this for me. So she called the probation officer. Alex is now back in Litchfield. And Red is also back from getting beat up by V. Still bruised, broken up, but she's back. We see that Piper finds out about Alex being back because Luzchek tells her. Yeah. And that scene was really funny. Yeah. They're talking about if you're going to commit suicide, like how you would do it. And it's so funny what Luzchek says, because I was like, that is true. He's like, I would use carbon monoxide. It's easy, whatever. Or I would go to a shooting range because you pay when you leave. Clearly you're not leaving. I was like, that's smart.
I'm so glad has a kind of, it feels like a bigger role this season.
Right.
Yeah.
He reminds me of like a really dark version of Andy from Parks and Rec. Obviously very Chris Pratty. just like how he looks, but just like his humor. But it's like a darker. It's not more. He's just like that. Like
right. I like him. I
actually really like him. Yeah,
I do too, and he's gotten more this season. Has he lost weight, or is it different? Like the beard, or something? Like there was something different about him this season I couldn't quite figure out.
Maybe he lost a little weight.
Lost a little weight in the beard. I don't know.
His relationship with the inmates is very interesting. Like, very honest, and the fact that he was like, your girlfriend's in town, and the way he even said it, like he just kind of knows what's up, but he doesn't really care enough to say anything. Like that. I think they need somebody like that because Healy's obviously on one side of the spectrum, and then
he's on
so that was cool.
And Liz Check also is kind of like their counselor because he was saying, "Wait, you want to kill yourself with pills? Like you, look into your thought process.
Rich now,
You're rich in your thought process. Like that's expensive."
What happened to while we're talking about guards? What happened to the one that they brought in at the beginning, Counselor Rogers, that new girl that they're bringing as counselor? That was that one scene. I thought she was going to be a big part of the episode, and then we never saw her
she
again.
would like date. Is it
Caputo?
Caputo? I kind of want them to date. Is that
really?
Just because the way they were talking, like it was weird.
I just don't know where she went.
No, I think she's coming back because I feel like there's no way.
Like in the episode, they didn't even Healy came in to complain about her, but we don't even see her like walk in the halls or like anything.
I think we're gonna see more of her.
She just came in to do paperwork that day.
There's a lot going on, so they can only introduce her. But obviously, they've introduced her for a reason, and so she's going to definitely be playing a big role.
Yeah. And of course, Healy's upset because he feels like he should be. He is counselor extraordinaire.
Yes, he's the only one.
But anyway, he's terrible.
And he was, and the fact that he was trying to fight it. Well, she can have the blacks and crazies. I'll take everyone else. I was like, oh my god.
But first of all, anyway,
but it goes back to him, and with that tiny flashback of him, like there's issues with him with women.
Right.
And we've seen this from the beginning, from season 1, and it continues to manifest itself, and he's very uncomfortable.
I take that back. I don't think he's terrible. I think just he's the type that projects everything he's going through on them, and it's like it's too much in that environment because they're already going through everything. Right. You know what I mean? It's just weird, but
he has issues with women.
He does contribute very, very much to the show. So
yeah. And then of course we see that Alex is distraught to be back.
So sad.
And Piper almost tells her. She almost says that she was the one that is responsible.
I was so sad watching Alex cry like that. Like it actually really hurt me. She was like, "How did I get back here?" Like she's really, you can tell she just does not know how to figure it out. And I was like, this
and
sucks.
Of course, Piper's overdoing it, trying to like
be nice
up to her.
Yeah,
I'm just kind of over it.
I am too.
Like,
thank you.
I'm so sorry.
Thank you. Anymore. It's not cute anymore.
It's just it's annoying, and I thought I might have been the only one, but I'm getting to the point where they have to do something with the storyline because it's annoying, and the two of them are annoying, and they're not growing.
There's got to be something else to them.
Right,
it can't be the same thing over and over.
There's
I'd much rather watch the side stories.
Right, because there's no growth from either one of them. There's no payoff, and so it's just kind of in the stagnant same position, and I'm just kind of annoyed with both of them.
Right.
It was funny in the almost Piper when she told her like almost. She was like, it was the system. I was like, I don't get it right now. Like, Piper is just very. I agree,
but I'm just not interested anymore in their storyline.
Yeah, right.
Like I get it. It was really fun to watch the first 2 seasons, but now since we're back in jail again. Oh, we're starting this affair again.
Yeah,
Oh, we're gonna break up again. Oh, and then
you know what? I wish they would have brought Alex back later in the season.
Right.
Yeah.
I would have liked to see that happen, and then all of a sudden she showed up. Now she's back in the very first episode of the season.
Yeah.
Well, there were those rumors at the end of the last season that she wasn't going to be in season 3 at all, and then here she is when she rolls over in the
very first episode.
Yeah, when she rolled over in that bed though, with her punched eye, I was like, this is heartbreaking.
Right.
Yeah.
I love the way they introduced her being back though, just on the bed.
Yeah.
That was great. It's like, that was a great way to intro her.
You can see Red was like, girl, I'm so sorry you're here.
You're back, then. You need this more than me.
Right.
And then, of course, we see Red's family. They come to visit her because it's Mother's Day, all of her grown sons and her husband. And they still don't want to tell her that the business is closed. But clearly she knows. She knows her family well enough. She knows the pattern. She knows you can't be closed on Mother's Day. And they are.
Yeah.
Yep.
I didn't realize that, I just felt like, why on earth would you just not tell her? Because Red's a very good judge of character, and she can read people very well. So I feel like if anyone knows, her family should know, like, she's seeing right through us right now.
But they want to protect her.
Right,
I mean, what is she going to do? from where she is right now. She has 2 years. I mean, she's not going anywhere.
Maybe that tells you the kind of power she has for people to be that scared of you. Your family would be like, we don't want to make her mad. And
she was. She's the one that was running the show. So, of course.
And even though Healy was like completely deflecting his own problems on talking to her, he was kind of right though. Like, remember, like, I know that this situation can be really hard. And that might not be in the
I agree. I'm just like, I don't know.
Poo.
Yeah, and then
anyway, but she's mad at Piper in the episode, right?
Yes. And then, of course, we see it at the end. Red decides to cement the tunnel because it's caused so many problems.
That kind of pissed me off, though.
I don't think I feel like you put in that much hard work for this tunnel. Y'all should save it for a rainy day.
That wasn't your place to do that because the tunnel affects more than just you. Come on now.
And she knows that.
She knows that. Talking about R.I.P. when I'm like,
but she knows that people are getting out early. She doesn't want to jeopardize people, getting caught trying to get out and then have to stay longer, right?
I don't think so. I think she just has she turned over a new leaf. I think somewhat. She doesn't want to. She's obviously not in it for herself, which was what she had coming through that pipeline. It benefited her greatly. Of course. If she could bring stuff in. So for her to just be like, no one gets to use this. I mean, I think it hurts her the most.
At the end of season 2, didn't she, air quotes, not remember who attacked her?
That's what
she said that.
But then on the cement, she put RIPV, like, obviously, like, I know who did it. Basically, is what I got.
I couldn't tell what it said. I saw RIP, but I didn't see the V part.
No, I think she always knew. I thought it was like a no snitching policy type of thing. Okay. Jail, you can't snitch now.
But at the same time, if I got hit upside the head with the lock and the sock,
I'm snitching.
Yeah,
I'm snitching.
But also, I probably legit wouldn't remember.
Right.
Oh, that's true.
I just got,
I don't really know who did it.
Some sort of concussion there.
Let's talk about Litchfield's pregnant inmate, Daya Diaz, and her mother, Elena, and, of course, Officer Bennett. I like this interesting twist. So we see that Mendez's mom has reached out to Daya. And Daya's like, I'm not going to talk to her. Right. And, of course, Elena, with her, filthy, ratchet ways, decides to say, it's money. Right. Come on, we got to reach out to her.
Exactly. We can get something out of this.
Right. Do you think that it's a good idea for them to reach out to Mendez's mom?
No.
That's not Mendez's baby.
Not. You're doing too much. Just like she said, I'm including somebody else in this. We're twisting the story way too far. We already did the dirty work. We don't have to overdo it. They're overdoing it. Obviously, Daya didn't
but here's okay. In her defense, not saying that I agree. She comes from a very, very poor background. Okay, Elida has had to sleep with a lot of men to get a little bit of stuff, and she thinks in terms of money. So if she's like, if this lady wants to perhaps throw a couple dollars on our books every month, why should we stop her?
Yeah.
No, I get what you're saying.
I can see the logic.
I didn't.
That makes sense, but it's still like morally.
It's not even. They're past the moral. Moral barometer.
We're not even. It's not even the moral thing. Yeah. I think it's just very confusing to the fact that you don't think they'll ever get a DNA test. You don't think this. You don't think that. That's what I was thinking. The logical is wrong. It doesn't make sense. Eventually they will find out.
Here's the thing. Everything doesn't make sense. Right. The fact that you said Pornstache is your baby daddy.
Exactly.
The fact that you said that he's now gone. The fact that you got to lie about Bennett being the baby. The fact that you think you're going to keep your baby. The fact, all of this stuff is we're past being wrong.
Yeah, we're past.
Why not just keep the ball rolling?
Right. They've gone so far beyond. It's almost like they have to keep going.
You might as well.
Keep this story.
To keep it on, and like you said, it's almost like they wouldn't do a DNA test because he basically took the claim of being the fall, and everyone thinks that so they're not going to think otherwise because there's no other reason to think otherwise.
It's
just that makes sense. Gosh.
We'll see where that goes. And of course, Cesar brings all of Aleda's kids to see her. I didn't realize it was, how many, 5 or 6 kids that she has? I didn't think it was that many.
I know. I started to lose track.
Cute. Yeah, that was a lot going on.
Yeah, there was a lot going on. And of course, we see the flashback when Aleda had Daya. Mm-hmm. And she seemed to be like a opposite of what she's now. Very loving mother. So I hope they show us kind of what happened over that time span that she has become this bitter woman with all these kids.
So bitter. Like she even said, to her, it's like, ruined my life. No big deal. You just ruined my life. I was like, oh my God.
And that's not even true because, like I said, the flashback was very evident that you were happy. So we need to know what happened. Just like
in
you said.
Between now and and from then, exactly.
And just to go back to Mendez or Pornstache's mom, I was really proud or just kind of surprised to know that she was so defending. She didn't defend her son at all. You know what I mean? Usually, it doesn't matter what your son does. okay,
but to reach out, to reach out
in general was really cool.
Right. And I thought that was good. I mean, hopefully Mendez's mom will be a good lady, a nice lady.
Right.
And then we see, of course, the Lucy goes under the bed. Everybody's looking for her. It's time to leave. Unfortunately, that's what happens. Actually, when that happened, I was kind of like, when Bennett said, I'll give you 20 minutes to find her, and then we got to pull the alarm, I kind of felt like, dang, you know she's here. Like, why do you have to ruin it for everyone?
She went through the tunnel.
Yeah, it's like you scared the kids and kind of just, but it kind of reinforced to me that whole scariness of the prison
where
and just
they
like
really are.
And where they are and how they're separated from their so it kind of like reinforced that it was symbolic when she was hiding in a way, and also the whole thing with the empty piñata and like
oh my gosh,
like it all with very strong symbolism.
She used to annoy me last season. The protester girl. No,
which one?
She's the really pretty like protester girl.
Yeah,
that's
the one that used to
oh my god,
Soso.
Yeah, she was like, oh my god, this is such a metaphor.
Because it is.
An
empty red balloon that went up in the sky. It was all symbolic. You know?
That was horrific to see.
Yeah, when of course all the moms had to go face down on the ground, the kids are like, Mom, what happened? Yeah. What's going on? I was like, oh, that's so sad. And then the one little girl gets down, and I was like, oh.
She's like, do I have to come? I was like, oh.
Well, I'm glad that they're showing not what being in prison does to these women, but what it does to their families, what it does to their kids, and even just seeing them not being able to understand, like why do they have to get on the ground, or and that scene where the baby was left outside of the porta potty, that broke my heart.
She just threw her child like that.
I know.
At least give her to another inmate. At least give her to Morello, who is sitting in front of the toilet, the porta potties. Just be like, hold my baby for 1 second so I can pee and actually do coke. You know what I'm saying? Like, at least give your that poor baby was like,
I know, and that was awful.
That was really awful.
Hurt my heart.
Horrible.
I know.
And the fact that I always thought that they would make the diapers come off before make you change. Make you change the diaper in front of them so that they wouldn't. Because I feel like that's easy.
Easy to smuggle things in. Exactly.
Honestly, that was odd too. When she pulled that out, I said, "Slick Rick." I didn't even think about that. I didn't even think about that.
But you would think that they wouldn't in prison and be like, okay, babies have to be diapers, walk through.
And then what are the other two? The girls, the really pretty girls that had the baby, and she was talking about how Daya's going to get used to being a mother, and then as soon as it relieves itself on it, she's like, "Take my baby!" Like,
Flocka and Maritza, they're back. I love them. I didn't even know that Maritza was a mom.
I didn't either. So I guess you learned some.
I loved when Maritza the night before is like, "I'm not going to sleep tonight. Like I want to," and then Flocka's like, "You don't want your baby to see you with bags under your eyes." It's a bad example. I'm like, there's probably some other things that you're doing. Exactly. Bad example.
The worst example.
Exactly. And then some of the other jobs that the inmates had, we saw that Flocka was painting the faces, and she had them looking like, what did she say?
A chemical romance.
Yes. I'm like, all these kids, because if you notice, they showed some of the kids' faces before they even got to her painting them. So I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. It's interesting.
Teardrops.
Right. I was like, okay.
That was so rude. I was like, these kids look terrible.
Poor babies. And then we see that Yoga Jones is doing Simon Says.
Yes, that's hilarious.
That was one of the funniest scenes this episode. When she's like, Simon didn't say that, and she's like,
but I want you to
right.
That was hilarious.
Such a Yoga Jones. Such a Yoga Jones.
It was perfect. But it was kind of interesting to see what jobs they were all doing with the kids that day.
Love that.
Yeah, that was fun.
Right. And then we also see that at the very end, what's her name? Is it Gloria's baby? Is it Gloria? No, it's not Gloria. Maria. Yeah, her baby daddy says that he cannot bring the baby back anymore because his daughter's getting older, and he's just like, I don't want her
all
to see
the tears
her mother.
That really
do you guys think that people should bring their children, no matter what age they are, to prison to see the other parent?
Yes.
I get both sides,
I get both sides.
Yes, because there's a lot of things that can happen, from the kid's point of view. They can think, oh, my mom doesn't want to see me, she doesn't love me, blah, blah, blah. But if, that interaction is there and the mom does want to be a part of the life and does want to see the child, then she should most certainly see the child.
I agree, and I also think it could reinforce the child could learn, not to be in the same situation because of seeing what their mom is going through.
Right. I think it's negative. Yeah. It's worse on children when they don't see their parents because you think their parents are bad examples. Even if your parent is a bad example, the fact that you know you have that connection and you know your parent is it. I think it alleviates some of the issues that people have when they don't know their parent at all.
And the time of the separation and everything else, I think, can add to more issues when they're reunited eventually.
Exactly. You're like, I never saw you in this time, so I really don't know you.
Yeah, getting to know your mother when you're 25 years old rather than throughout growing up is completely
At least
different.
You have some type of interaction. And I didn't even understand because he said the kid's getting older, and I'm like, the kid's still in diapers or whatever. I'm like, no, she's not getting older. You have like 5 more years on this chick before, you know what I mean? It really, I don't know. I don't want to say it really matters because I didn't read the same book he read, but
but it also goes to show you that these women have no power. You know, for this one moment of this day, they get to feel like they have some kind of interaction with their children. They still make a difference in their children's lives. And then to see this on the flip side, at the end of the day, you really don't have any say-so when it comes to what happens with your children outside of these walls. And it's really, really sad because, you know, prison takes away all of your rights, including that of a parent.
And even the guard, she was like, I thought the guard would comfort her in any type of way, and she did not. And I was kind of disappointed to see that.
She can't.
That's part of the punishment of being in jail, though.
I don't mean like, but come on. Bennett obviously knows when to comfort people.
He's not supposed to. He can't do that.
But they like to break rules and they want to.
But when nobody's looking.
Right. And he has an invested interest of why he's comforting people too.
But
I don't want her to like kiss
Belle, though, is a guard, though, not a counselor. So that would be like Healy or this new Rogers person that would be responsible for, you know, talking to them or comforting them.
Okay, I see what you mean.
But the guards are supposed to be like guards, disciplinary, and like enforce the rules.
And I think she felt bad. You could kind of see it, like, you know. But what could she do? She can't hug her in front of the people. She can't, you know.
And to be fair, she didn't say anything, you know, as far as like when she went back, she was like, all right, I'm going to let her do what she wants.
Because she could have been like, inmate go. Like,
or I'm going to give you a shot for yelling or whatever it is. So
those shots kill me every time. I feel like, oh my gosh, I'm about to get it together.
All right, let us know what you thought about this episode. Make sure you use the hashtag
ABTVOITNB.
Thank you, because I can never remember all those letters. Let us know what you think with your comments on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Where can we find you, beautiful people?
Oh, you guys can check me out on Twitter and Instagram at OneTakeStace. Make sure to tune in. Use the hashtag that was previously stated, and I can't wait to hear from you guys.
And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Sterling Cates.
Oh, and you can find me on Twitter at SMan80. That's SMan80.
And you can always find me, Megan Thomas, on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Meg Scoop, like scoop of ice cream. And be sure to follow us, AfterBuzz TV. Just click subscribe down below. And also go to iTunes and SoundCloud, because we're there, baby. We'll see you next week. Bye.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.